So, our sailing season has been very long and enjoyable. Now we are at the second half of August here already, and so far we have 91 sailing days, where 87 was on the one sailing, and then after that I have been sleeping like 4 nights out of the boat. And then we went for the weekend sailing, and this seems to be kind of now going, so that I'm sleeping away a little bit, and then we go for the weekend sailing rest of the season. We have been around the Finnish archipelago, looking it very widely. I'll show you how. Now this is roughly our sailing area, so we started in Uusikaupunki, which is way up here out of this map, and we have been in Rauma, which is way up further north over there. But we came from there to the Archipelago Sea and sailed first in this Nauvo and Parainen region. In different places we visited Turku, we have been visiting in Naantali region, we have been visiting in Nauvo and different nature harbors in there. Then I have sailed in Kulkrona region, and then I have sailed in Kaasnäs, and then Hanko, and then we are sailing by the Bengtskär, and we have sailed in Örö, and Venö, Borstö, Jurmo, we have visited Uhtö, we have visited Fiskö region here, Brandö, Kustavik, then we have sailed in Åland, where we visited in Rödhamn, Fåglö, we have been in Sottunga, few times in Mariehamn, few times in Hanko as well. We have visited in Eckerö, then Salskär, then Vederskär, Djupviken, and in Kjellskär near Tjökar, and well, basically all over the Archipelago Sea. and within 90 days you can see a lot in that time. And our sailing days were very short, something like typically like 6 hours maximum, so that I could walk the dogs quite often. They don't have too long days in the boat, and it's also enjoyable for me, because for me this archipelago sailing is all about exploration, finding new places, finding new places to stop, and looking at whatever you can see. So this year we stayed in Finland. Let's see what happens next year. So all this has taken actually bit over 91 or now 91 days today, and a bit over 1000 nautical miles. We have about 1060 there now, and nature harbors or anchorages, 42 different anchorages, and guest harbors, 18 where I visited, and then guest piers, 9 guest piers. I have something for the statistics here, I don't remember that kind of stuff. So it shows that looking at the different harbors and piers where we have visited compared to the whole sailing days, we haven't been in same spot for very many nights in one row, but we have been just sailing, moving in places, and sometimes stopping in one place for several nights and days. So we have been in different places, and lots of things has happened in here. So mostly I have sailed by myself. Then I have had some guests, friends in there, and then finally I met a very nice lady, and we have been sailing a lot together, and we continue sailing together. So it's a life-changing summer in different ways. It's been really nice summer, and the best sailing summer I have ever had. Let's see what the future brings. So we had a quite long sail this summer, and we still continue, but now we are in August, end of August, and of course when it's over 90 days on the sea now, there's some things that has happened, accident and mishaps and so on. Let's review those a little bit. I have here this might be the most serious things. I have here some brand new hydraulic steering pipe that I bought in the spring from SVP webshop. And I have 2 pieces of these here. And what happened first time is that you have this kind of a thing, ferrucle, or thing that is squeezed here by when you connect the pipe. So what happened here is that the structure is such that there is a nylon tube here, and then there are these fibers, and then there's a surface thing cover in here, and this surface cover just ripped off here, and this pipe exploded loose from its fitting, and that means effectively that you don't have a steering in a boat after that. And that was of course quite serious situation, We were in between the islands in quite narrow spot, and what I did is that I just let the boat drift and steered a little bit with the motor forward and backward into the position where I got a little bit out of the way, and then I anchored and started to look what is the problem, that why I don't have any steering in the boat. And this is the reason for that. This is the last time I installed this type of a hydraulic steering hose. Never again. This full nylon tube is much better, much more reliable. I have other tubes are that. And the same thing repeated itself just yesterday actually. So this was just plop in the harbor maneuver. This was just plop off. Luckily there was a space in that harbor, and I managed to anchor, and then repaired the problem, and we were able to get to the mooring without any problems, or to the pontoon that time. That's quite serious when you are in tight spot and you lose the steering of the boat. Things can go terribly wrong. Luckily, we survived without any damages other than these, and I had spare parts and tools with me, so I could fix them on the side. Then one other incident what we had is that we had two problems with the motor fuel supply. First one was in that kind of situation where we had been motoring against the wind for something like 5 hours, but in quite sheltered waters. And then we came into the place where there was a open water and big waves coming to the bow, and the boat was jumping a lot. So I increased the RPMs of the motor and was trying to go through those waves, and we were between two islands in there, and engine just died. It didn't restart, it just died. And we tried to sail actually to the secure location in there, but our bow was in wrong direction, and I couldn't turn in that space, so I needed to pull the sail back in and just drift. And I managed to drift away from the fairway, and then did anchoring. I put all the chain and all the rope out, 70 meters of chain and rope out, and we were bouncing there then in the anchor a lot because the waves were very big. And then I started to do the troubleshooting, and I couldn't find any problem in there, so I just played the engine, so there was air in the fuel system, and when I played the engine, it started right away. So what I suspect that happened is that we had a little bit low fuel supply in the tank, little of fuel in there. So what I presume it happened was that in this big bouncing, the fuel just foamed or moved in the tank so that it could get air into the engine, and then the engine died. The Nautica tanks are that kind of things that they are very long in longitudinal into the rear and bow direction in the boat, and maybe that's what happened, but it just started and no problems afterwards. Then second engine problem what we had was later on in after we refilled the at Nötter. So after the refilling of the boat, the engine started to run a little bit poor. So it was running normally and then reducing RPMs about 200 RPMs and then just returning. And it just keep on doing that the full day. And the second day it was same. And we got to the hangar and I dropped off to my guest in there, and when I left from the hangar and came to the area between the hangar harbor and the customs control into the very busy shipping lane, then the engine died. So instant reaction was, of course, I sailed to the security of the few islands in there and out of the shipping lane and anchored there and started to do the troubleshooting. And what I found is that I have a fuel filter with the water separation, and they have a bunch of connectors in for the fuel lines in there. And those bunch of connectors were clogged by the black stuff. It was a bigger particles than a diesel bacteria generated black stuff. It was that kind of a bigger chunks that couldn't fit through the bunch of fitting, and it just clogged the fuel supply, and then the engine died. And I removed those particles and started the engine. It ran perfectly ever since. So what I presume happened is that when we refilled, there was some dirt particles coming with the diesel into the tank and then towards the engine. That was, of course, kind of nasty situation, but luckily no damages in there. Now we had a bit of a problem. I was running the old fuel from the Babur tank, and I think this got stuck. So you can see that it's dark in here. So I will cut it and let's see what is in there. Now it is cut, and when I open it up, the inside looks quite clean, no problem there, but looking at the outside, it's full of gunk. It's not totally blocked yet, but I changed new filter in there anyways, and this goes now into the waste. And now we had this more than 90 days now sailing. So of course there were some incidents on the boat handling, like we were in Sottunga and I was dropping the rear anchor because all the buoys were full and trying to get into the pier. And what happened is that the rear anchor rope got tangled into the winch somehow and just stopped the boat while we were getting closer to the pier. And then the wind pushed us sideways on top of the neighboring boat buoy line. So there was nothing that I could do there. We were just putting the fenders between the boats and we were good on that sense. But my prop, the neighboring boat buoy line was then coming on top of my rudder and very close to the propeller. So I couldn't use the engine to just reverse out and try again. So what we needed to do is that we took an anchor to the side and then pulled the rear of the boat on the side so that we got loose of the buoy line, and then I managed to reverse and then reapproach and get to the pier properly. Other than that, I think we were quite lucky. and the boat is still in one piece also. So if we get some scratches on the beer when the wind has been pushing and I've been solo navigating, then that's okay. I can repair those in the winter time. I'm not worried about that kind of things. And so we have had a pretty trouble-free season so far, and we still have maybe 1 month left, but now we are moving into the direction of weekend sailing, so going out only for a few days at the end of the week, and then enjoying the autumn sea when the weather is favorable. So not too many of those weekends coming anymore. Yeah.